We are going to continue the next session, the remaining class of the lesson, that is Benares. And now the day and the hour had gone. Now the day and the hour had gone. The serpent was about to swallow the sun. It was about to swallow the sun in Sumatra at any rate. At Benares, it would no more than nibble interceptly at the edge of his disc. The serpent should one say was going and try to swallow the sun. A million of men and women had come together at Benares to assist the light of heaven against his enemy. So now you see in the third paragraph what it is going to be done. In the previous class itself we said the serpent is going to swallow the sun, and it was about to swallow him in Sumatra. At Benares, it would no more than nibble in the interceptly at the edge of his disc. The serpent should once say was going to try to swallow the sun. So in the previous class itself we said that when the eclipse is going to be occur, the serpent is going to swallow the sun. So this is all about the eclipse that is going to be occur in scene there. Then a million of men and women had come together at Benares. So now you can see that from the different places all the people of men and women are going to come together at Benares to assist the light of heaven against the enemy. They are saying that they are following that heaven, the lights of heaven are going to be fight with the assistant of their enemy. Naturally, the serpent is going to fight with the sun. Then that sun is being swallowed with the enemy there. The gods go down in furlong wide lights there. The gods go down. And then now you can see the gods go down in furlong wide flights of step to the river, which lies along arena, the foot of enormous tiers of seats. And these tiers of streets are thronged today. And see here, the foot of tiers of seats, and these tiers of enemies are thronged today, floating on the Ganges. We looked up echoes upon the slooping of humanity there. And where it is going to be having the place, you can see upon the slooping of echoes of the humanity of the place is there near the side of the Ganges river there. And you see what are the towers, what are the seats that are going to be float on the rivers of Ganges, that affects on the sloping echoes of humanity, which are going to filled with the number of people there. On the smaller and comparatively gods, the crowd was a little less. The crowd was a little less densely packed than on the holiest steps there. It was one of these three less crowded gods the witnessed embarked on the sacred river of a princess. Now you can see that they are saying that we are the packed that one, the holiest steps there. And what are these steps that are going to be taken into the river of a princess there, and that canopied and curtained with glittering of cloth of gold, and palanquin came staggering down through the crowd of the shoulders fixed red-livered attendants there, and A great barrage like a Noorshak windows hung the scarlet curtains there. A great bark like Noorshak windows hung the scalar curtains with his rod of office. And what is that thing which is being explained here? You can see the Major Dumbo shouted, and fruitful or frightful lurchings, the palanquins descended. It was set down and twinkling of a high of a little passageway of canvas, and they had been erected between this litter and the door of the barrage. There was weaving with the cloth of gold, a flapping of canvas, the lady and the ladies, for there were several of them in the litter, had entered with the bark and been pushed out into the midstream. So from the lifting of the scarlet curtains and peering out through the naked faces, the unbathed curiosity at the passing of the boats and our inquisitive cameras, the poor princess there. So you can see the poor princess, how she is going to be sit in the palanquin bearers which are being little passed away from the litter and the door of the barge there, and which do not prevent them a few minutes later, when the barge has been pushed out into the midstream, which did not prevent them. The inquisitive camera, poor princess, they could not bathe, and plebeian and imprisoned sisters open in the Ganges there. Their dip was to be the barrage will water. The sacred stream is filled with the enter under the sky there. What must be the after? Stagnating in darkness at the bottom of the ancient barge there. Then in the fourth paragraph, you are going to see what is this? We rode on towards the burning gods. We rode on towards the burning gods there, and stretched out on their neat little oblong pyres there. And what are the things that are going to be happen on these 2 or 3 corpus? Very slowly, smoldering, they lay on the burning faggots. So they lay on the burning faggots. They were covered by them. Gruesomely and grotesquely bare their foot projected like the feet of those who sleep uneasily on a bed, too short and under anxious blankets. Then a little further on, we saw a row of holy men sitting like the cormorants on a narrow edge of Montsary there, and just above the water, cross-legged and their hands dropped imply, palm upwards on the ground beside him. They contemplated with the brown and sweating tips of their noses. It was the Lord Krishna, we can say, who himself in Bhagavad Gita prescribed that mystic squint there. And Lord Krishna, it is evident, we knew all that there is to be known mystical ecstasy, Ella, Porti and Tudas there. The noise of an assembled million filled with the air, and sound could break the meditative sleep of the nose gazers there. And see what himself, what about the Lord Krishna says. And that is the thing we are going to see, that he said in Bhagavata and prescribed he as a mystic squint there, that Lord Krishna, it is evident, we all knew that there is to be known about the art of hypnotism or self-hypnotism there. His simple method has never been improved. Then you can see that his simple method has never been improved there. And it puts upon the mystical break in the meditative sleep of nose gazes there. At a given moment, the eye of faith must have observed in the nibblings of demonstracal or demoniacal serpent for suddenly and simultaneously there. All those on the lowest steps of the gods threw themselves into the water and began to wash and gargle. So gargle there. So lastly what they are going to see that with their faith itself. So what is the faith of that? That one nibblings of the demonical, you can see of the serpent for the suddenly and simultaneously at the lowest steps of the gods threw themselves into the water and began to wash. So after the completion of the eclipse of these process is over, naturally the people themselves go through the steps of the gods and threw themselves into the water and began to wash. So before this eclipse occur also, they would be having the taking of the bath, and after the eclipse also they will be having the taking of the bath interest in the crowds behind. The front of the waiting queue was 1,000 yards wide, but 1,000,000 people are waiting. So behind this you can see the back of themselves. The front of the waiting queue was 1,000 yards wide there, and such that wide also, but 1,000,000 people were waiting. So you can see that many people are evenly waiting to the having of this bath there. The bathing must have gone uninterruptedly on the whole day. And you can see the bathing must have gone on uninterruptedly on the whole day. Then time passed. Then you can see how the going on of the men and women who are going to be taken in the weight of the queue was the 1,000 yards wide there. But these people are waiting, and the bathing must have gone uninterruptedly on the whole day. Time passed, the serpent went on nibbling imperceptibly at the sun. Then time is going to be going away after this occurrence of the eclipse there, and the serpent went on nibbling the imperceptibly at the sun. The Hindus counted their beads and prayed, made ritual gestures, and tucked under the sacred slime and drank. And they were moved on by the police to make room for another installment of the patient million. So that is the thing where you are going to have your movement of the people on the making of a room, on the making of the room for another installment by the patient million there. We rode up and down taking the snapshots. East is west. So in spite of the serpent, the sun was commonly, then you can see, in spite of the serpent, the sun was uncommonly hot on our backs. So you can see what is the position of the serpent there, and what is the having of the sun which is there in that place during the hot season there. After a couple of hours on the river, we decided that we had enough and landed. Slowly we stopped and decided, so that whatever we had enough and landed. The narrow lanes that lead from gods to the open streets in the center in the town were lined with the beggars. Then you can see we decided the narrow lances that lead from the gods to open the streets in the center of the town there, and they are lined with beggars, more and less holy. They sat on the ground. So you can see what is the position of these beggars and what is the function of them. By the lying themselves, the narrow lanes of the river lead from the gods to open the streets in the center in the town. We lined with the beggars more or less holy. They sat on the ground with their begging bowls. Then they started with their uh, asking of their begging bowls before them, the charitable as they passed. They would throw a few grain of rice into each bowl. By the end of the day, the beggars might with luck have accumulated a square meal. So they thought that even a food of grain of a meal is going to be fall into the bowl of them. But by the luck, they collected a square meal, means they collected a food process that is taken to them by the end of the day. Beggars might with luck have accumulated a square meal and emerged a sacred bull. The nearest beggar was dozing its pot. It is post. Those who eat little sleep much. The bull lowered its muzzle to the sleeping man's bowl, made a scouting movement with its black tongue, and morning's charity had gone. The beggar still dozed, thoughtfully chewing. The Hindu totem turned back the way as it come and disappeared. So whatever the things that is going to be taken place by making a scouting movement with its black tongue, and morning's charity had gone. The beggar still dozed, thoughtfully chewing, and the Hindu totem turned back away, which had come to the disappeared moment of themselves there. So, being a stupid and having no imagination. So, being a stupid and having no imagination, animals often behave far more sensibly than men. So, being stupid, because first itself we said human beings are very having their mindset with compared through the animals. Animals do not have such kind of the discrimination, where the normal human beings of the mind often behaves them like a sensible men there. Then efficiently and by instinct they do right with the appropriate thing at the right moment. And they eat when they are hungry, look for water when they feel thirst. Then we shall have the continuation of one more class.